You were never meant to beg the universe. That is the lie. That is the root of the disconnection, the chaos, the quiet desperation you have been taught to dress up as hope. From the very beginning, you were conditioned to ask for permission, from systems, from gods, from forces you thought were outside of you. But here is the truth. You are not a beggar. You are a creator, a speaker of worlds, a commander of energy. The universe is not a wish-granting machine for the worthy. It is a responsive field of infinite potential that listens constantly to the energy behind your words, your thoughts, your state of being. It does not answer prayers. It mirrors power. And right now, whether you know it or not, it is responding to you. The only difference between those who manifest their vision and those who do not is clarity, frequency, intention, and alignment, not belief, not emotion, not luck. This is not magic, it is mechanics. The question is not if the universe is listening. The question is, what are you actually saying? They stripped it from you early. The moment you could speak, they began telling you what you could and could not say, what was appropriate, what was correct, what was dangerous. And the moment you started to think for yourself, they flooded your mind with distractions, cartoons, lessons, rules, stories, all carrying the same hidden message. Do not challenge, do not question, do not create on your own terms, just follow. You were trained to ask, to hope, to wait for answers that never came. School did not teach you how to think. It taught you how to obey. You were rewarded for repeating, punished for questioning. Your imagination was treated like a distraction, your daydreams as a disorder. But what they never told you is that those daydreams were practice, early blueprints, the first stirrings of your innate ability to create reality from thought. They told you God was outside of you, that creation was a distant act sealed off long ago, that power belonged to others. And in the silence left behind, they inserted structure, systems, and hierarchies. You were told who to trust, what to fear, what success looked like, what failure meant. None of it was yours, but all of it became the architecture of your beliefs. And belief is everything, because if you believe you are small, your voice will be small. If you believe the universe is distant, you will whisper when you should command. If you believe you are undeserving, you will block every blessing that tries to reach you. The system is not broken. It was built precisely to mute the God in you. You were not just told how to live. You were programmed to forget you ever had a choice. Think about it. You have probably spent most of your life waiting for something to shift, waiting for a sign, waiting for the right mood, the right timing, the right version of yourself to finally step forward. But waiting is the opposite of speaking. It is silence disguised as strategy, and silence is the first symptom of surrender. Every time you hesitate, the field hears doubt. Every time you delay, the field registers confusion, and confusion creates noise. Noise creates contradiction, and contradiction creates stagnation. This is why the universe seems to respond to some and ignore others. Not because of worthiness, not because of luck, but because of clarity and command. The field mirrors. It echoes. It obeys the strongest signal, and the strongest signal always comes from the one who remembers. I am not here to ask. I am here to speak. They did not just hide the truth. They buried it under guilt, shame, and ritual. They wrapped power in doctrine and told you it was dangerous to touch. But it is not dangerous. It is precise. It is an energetic law. The same way gravity pulls you to the earth, your words pull reality into form. And like gravity, it does not care what you believe. It responds to use, not worship, not ritual, not memorized prayers. It responds to the self that dares to act as the source, not just an extension of it. You are not meant to live passively. You are not meant to navigate life like a maze designed by someone else. You are not a servant of energy. You are the speaker that directs it. And the longer you play small, the louder your life will echo that silence back to you. Now, it is time to remember what was buried. The ancient ones did not hope. They declared. They did not visualize. They embodied. Their words were not wishes. They were weapons, tools, codes, frequencies aimed into the infinite field with precision. This is what you have forgotten. But forgetting is not the same as losing, and if you have forgotten, it means you can remember. The universe is not watching you. It is responding to you, constantly, instantly, without judgment. It does not wait for your best day or your most perfect version. It mirrors what you send out now, in this moment as you are. Not what you hope for, not what you think you deserve, but what your energy and your focus declare as real. You have been trained to look outside for evidence before you believe. But belief is not a response to evidence. It is the signal that creates it. What you focus on expands, not because of magic, but because of mechanics, quantum mechanics. In quantum physics, the observer effect is more than a theory. It is law. The act of observation collapses potential into form. What was once just possibility becomes defined, physical, and real the moment attention is applied. And it does not take belief. It takes focus. Energy flows where attention goes. The field does not distinguish between right and wrong or good and bad. It responds to intensity, clarity, and repetition. That is it. Just like a remote control does not care what channel you choose, it simply takes your input and reflects it. That is what your consciousness does to reality. Most people walk around as if they are at the mercy of circumstances. They say things like, "I'll believe it when I see it." But quantum law says the opposite. You will see it because you believed it. Every thought, every emotion, every expectation sends a signal into the field. Most people send signals laced with doubt, contradiction, and emotional static, then wonder why their lives look like chaos. But the field is precise. It gives you back what you broadcast. This is why people who seem unreasonable in their certainty often shape reality to fit it. It is not arrogance. It is alignment. Their signal does not waver. They do not beg the field. They program it. They speak in absolutes, not because they are delusional, but because they understand the rules. They are not hoping to receive. They are deciding to create. And the field, like a perfect mirror, adjusts accordingly. Everything you see in your current life is old data, old signals made real. You are not looking at reality. You are looking at your past output. And that means your future is already in motion, shaped by what you are choosing to focus on today. Most people never interrupt that pattern. They react to the old and recreate it with every thought, every complaint, every fear disguised as realism. But you do not have to. You can override the loop. Your mind is not a processor. It is a transmitter. It is not here to interpret reality. It is here to project it. You are not a passive observer. You are the broadcaster. And the universe is your screen. Whatever you place on the internal slide of your consciousness becomes the image that appears in form. That is not philosophy. That is physics. Energy seeks resonance. The field responds to input. You have just been using your remote on autopilot. But now, you get to interrupt the pattern, to realize that every repeated worry is a prayer for what you do not want. Every focused fear is a request for its own fulfillment. And every time you choose to believe that what you desire is already moving toward you, you collapse timelines to meet it faster. This is not about lying to yourself. It is about choosing the reality you want to energize. Your current reality is not fixed. It is simply the result of the dominant vibration you have repeated most often. Change the input, change the pattern, change the life. You were not put here to observe reality. You were put here to alter it. And once you stop reacting and start broadcasting deliberately, the world bends accordingly. Not because it is kind, but because that is the law. It is time to stop living like a spectator and start using your remote. They want you to think it is mystical, that manifestation is some fringe spiritual concept only accessible to the enlightened few, or those lucky enough to be born with the right vibration. But manifestation is not mysterious. It is not wishful. It is not about believing in miracles. It is about understanding energy. Clear, focused, directed energy. That is the difference between people who make life move for them and those who constantly wait for permission to. Try manifestation is not about emotion. It is about intention. And real intention is not just a fleeting thought wrapped in hope. It is the conscious decision to impress a specific command onto the field with no contradiction underneath. You have done it before, probably without realizing it. Remember the moments where everything just clicked, when synchronicity lined up, when things moved quickly and exactly as you had imagined. That was not a coincidence. That was clarity. That was you. Briefly and accidentally, broadcasting a signal strong enough to override your noise. Most people think they are setting intentions, but what they are really doing is begging with confusion. They want abundance while constantly focusing on lack. They say they want love, but repeat the vibration of fear and abandonment. The words say one thing, but the signal says another. And the field does not respond to words. It responds to coherence, the feeling underneath the thought, the frequency behind the phrase. This is why clarity is more powerful than positivity. You can think all the good thoughts you want, but if your energy is frantic, divided, and unsure, nothing moves. The signal short-circuits itself before it ever reaches resonance. This is why ancient initiates focused so heavily on intention. Hermetic philosophy was not built on blind belief. It was built on precision, mental discipline, and energetic purity. The ancients knew the mind was the first tool of creation, and intention was its sharpest edge. That is why intention, when fully embodied, does not feel like a wish. It feels like a command, a knowing, a quiet, immovable decision that reality cannot ignore. Not because it is loud, but because it is unwavering. Intentional energy is like a tuning fork. The more exact the frequency, the faster the field finds a match. But most people throw everything into the field like emotional noise. Doubt, distraction, what-ifs, and anxiety, and wonder why nothing locks in. The universe does not reject you. It just cannot read a scrambled signal. When your intention becomes pure, stripped of second-guessing, detached from time and outcome, it becomes law. Not in some poetic, symbolic way, but in the literal, energetic structure of the quantum field. The field is not personal. It does not reward good people or punish bad ones. It organizes itself around intention. You are either sending a strong signal or you are not. There is no in-between. You have seen this happen with others, the ones who move with precision, who say what they mean what they say, and walk like they already have it. They are not faking confidence. They are aligning energy. And life bends because the field cannot ignore clean code. It reacts faster to clarity than to charisma. faster to stillness than to struggle. So ask yourself, what do you actually want? And more importantly, can you hold that intention without diluting it? Can you let it be clear and unshaken by the noise around you? Because if you can, everything begins to move. Not because you have earned it, not because you have waited long enough, but because energy obeys structure. Intention is structure. It is the blueprint that shapes the form. You are not waiting on a miracle. You are waiting on yourself to stop sending static. Speak your desire once, mean it, live like it is already answered, and do not speak against it again. That is how you collapse timelines. That is how you shift outcomes. That is how you become the architect, not the observer. Your words are not just sounds. They are not just tools for communication or social etiquette. They are spells, programs, frequency codes that imprint themselves on the quantum field, whether you realize it or not. Every sentence you speak is either strengthening your reality or sabotaging it. Every phrase you repeat becomes a pattern the universe mirrors back to you. And most people have no idea how much destruction they cause with the things they say without thinking. You were taught language like it was neutral, like it was just a way to name things, but ancient traditions knew the truth. In Hermetic science, the spoken word was the first form of creation. In sacred texts and mystery schools, the word came before the world. In the beginning was the word, and the word was power. Why? Because sound is vibration, and vibration moves matter. Your subconscious mind does not filter language for context. It does not recognize sarcasm, doubt, or insecurity dressed up as a joke. It takes what you say, especially when repeated, and files it as truth. I'm always broke. I'm terrible at relationships. This always happens to me. You think you are venting, but you are actually coding. You are giving the field exact instructions to replicate. The more emotionally charged the statement, the faster it embeds. And the more it embeds, the more it runs on autopilot, quietly shaping your experiences while you call it bad luck. Words are not passive. They activate neural pathways. They fire energy into form. This is why affirmations, mantras, and declarations have power. Not because they are magical, but because they are consistent inputs into the system. You are either speaking life or speaking loops. And if you are not aware of what you are saying, chances are you are echoing someone else's programming. Phrases you inherited from your parents, your teachers, your culture, words spoken over you so many times that you made them your own without even questioning them. When you say, I am, whatever follows becomes your instruction to the field. I am tired. I am always behind. I am not good enough. These are not emotional outbursts. They are declarations. And the universe does not hear them as complaints. It hears them as construction orders. The phrase, I am, is sacred. It is not casual. It is the doorway to manifestation. When you say, I am, you are not describing, you are commanding. The power of language is not in its poetry. It is in its precision. When you speak without clarity, the field responds with confusion. When you speak with force, focus, and alignment, the field has no choice but to shift. This is why some people only need to say something once for it to start unfolding, because there is no contradiction in their energy. Their words are backed with belief, backed with emotion, and backed with action. That kind of speech creates momentum. That kind of speech cuts through the noise, but you do not need to be perfect. You need to be intentional. Pay attention to the phrases you repeat. Listen to what you say when you are frustrated, when you are tired, when you are doubting yourself. That is the language shaping your life. Rewrite it, recode it, replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." Replace "I'm stuck" with "I'm realigning." Speak not just with hope, but with direction. Speak like the architect of your experience, not the victim of your circumstance. And it is not just about what you say out loud. Your inner dialogue is even more powerful because it is unfiltered. The thoughts you whisper to yourself when no one is watching, those are the purest signals. That is the real programming. Clean it up, redirect it, take control of the narrative running through your own head, and begin to speak the version of yourself you are stepping into, not the version you are trying to escape. The field is listening. Every word is a command. The only question is whether you are using your voice to create your future or to repeat your past. You have heard the phrase before. Match the frequency of what you want, and you will attract it. It has been plastered across motivational posters, whispered in yoga classes, and tossed into conversations like it is a metaphor. But it is not a metaphor. It is a formula. It is the actual mechanism behind reality. Every single thing that exists, from the chair you are sitting on to the life you are trying to manifest, has a frequency, a vibrational blueprint. And so do you. The only question is, are you matching it or are you repelling it? Vibration is not about mood. It is not about smiling more, thinking happy thoughts, or pretending you are fine when you are not. It is not surface. It is not fake positivity. It is your emotional, mental, and energetic climate you live in day to day. It is your habits, your reactions, your automatic thoughts. It is what your nervous system broadcasts when you are not even trying. That is what the universe reads. That is the signature it locks onto. When your vibration contradicts your desires, nothing moves. You can say all the right affirmations, journal until your hand cramps, and script your dream life every morning, and still be stuck because your state does not match your vision. You want freedom, but you vibrate in fear. You want wealth, but you vibrate in scarcity. You want love, but you vibrate in abandonment. The universe is not rejecting you. It is reading you, and it always delivers what matches your signal. Think of tuning a radio. If you are set to 91.2 FM, you will not hear what is playing on 103.7. Not because it does not exist, but because you are not tuned in. That is what most people do with their goals. They sit on the wrong frequency, waiting to hear something that cannot reach them. They think manifestation is about pulling something in from the outside when it is really about aligning yourself to receive what is already present. The version of you who has what you want already exists. The timeline is real. The only thing between you and it is alignment. Tesla said, "If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." He did not say emotion. He did not say effort. He said frequency, because that is what reality runs on. Your body is a transmitter. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are the code it sends out. Change the code, and the feedback changes. This is not just spiritual language. It is neurological. Your brain is an electrical network. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field measurable several feet beyond your body. You are pulsing a message into space all the time. You just were not taught to control it, but you can. And it starts by watching how you feel, not in a superficial, temporary way, but how you exist. What state do you live in when you are not trying? That is your dominant frequency, and you do not need to fake high vibes. You need to shift the base. When you change your baseline, reality bends to meet it. It is not about intensity. It is about consistency. You do not have to scream your intention. You just have to become the frequency that no longer contradicts it. Start noticing the gap between who you say you are and who you really vibrate as. If there is resistance, that is the signal. If there is anxiety, self-doubt, hesitation, that is where the mismatch lives. And that is not a failure. That is a compass, a tool. The resistance is not blocking you. It is pointing you directly to what needs to be released, rewritten, or realigned. Use it, adjust, and then anchor into the new state. Because when your vibration becomes undeniable, the universe stops hesitating. Reality stops stuttering. The people, the opportunities, the moments, they begin to organize themselves around the signal you hold. Not because you are lucky, but because you are in resonance, because you have stopped sending conflicting codes and started living as the version of you who already has what you want. The universe does not give you what you think you deserve. It gives you what you are a vibrational match for. You do not get what you want. You get what you are. So become the frequency and watch the results become you. Hoping is the language of the powerless. It sounds innocent enough. It feels humble, even spiritual. I hope it works out. I hope the universe hears me. I hope this time is different. But underneath hope lives a quiet surrender, belief that you do not control what happens next, that all you can do is wish hard enough and maybe something out there will choose you. That is not manifestation. That is learned helplessness wrapped in spiritual vocabulary. You were never meant to hope. You were meant to declare. Hoping implies uncertainty. Commanding implies identity. Hope waits, command speaks. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people who think they are manifesting are actually just waiting politely for permission. They dress it up with vision boards and positive quotes, but underneath, the energy is still fragile, still dependent, still unsure. The law of attraction, sold as mainstream spirituality, is watered down to the point of being useless. It became popular not because it is powerful, but because it is safe, because it asks nothing of you except belief and a smile. It turned a sacred technology into a feel-good slogan. It removed the responsibility and the discipline. It told people that if they think good thoughts and act nice, the universe will reward them. But the universe is not a vending machine. It is a mirror. And it mirrors frequency, not politeness. This is why people say, "I tried manifesting and it didn't work." What they really mean is, "I asked, waited, hoped, and did nothing to change my internal state." They focused on results, not resonance. They thought manifestation was about desire when it is actually about dominion, not control through force, but an alignment so strong, reality has no option but to shift. Because when you speak with authority, the field recognizes you. It does not respond to desperation. It responds to certainty. You have been conditioned to think certainty is arrogance, that speaking your desire with confidence is delusion or entitlement. But confidence is not arrogance. It is clarity. And clarity is magnetic. When you remove the wobbles in your energy, when you stop hoping and start declaring, the entire tone of your life shifts. You move from asking to directing, from waiting to generating. Command does not mean demanding. You are not barking orders at the sky. You are embodying the frequency of your outcome with so much consistency that the external world has to reflect it. You become immovable, not emotionally reactive, not energetically inconsistent, but solid, like a tuning fork that never wavers. You say it once, and then you live as if it is already true. That is commanding. That is manifestation without noise. Look around at the ones who shape their lives intentionally. They do not beg for change. They decide on it. They do not keep explaining their desires. They walk in them. They do not manifest by accident. They manifest by law. They have moved beyond the surface teachings and into the architecture of reality. They speak and things move, not because they are special, but because they have chosen to command. And here is what that looks like. It looks like speaking your desire without apologizing for it. It looks like saying, "This is what I'm creating," instead of, "I really hope this happens." It looks like removing the emotional charge of if and replacing it with when. It looks like embodying the identity that already has the thing, not waiting for it to show up to prove you are allowed to believe. You can journal until your pen runs dry, visualize until your eyelids ache, and meditate for hours. But if you keep coming back to doubt, to smallness, to permission-seeking, the field will keep reflecting that. Manifestation does not happen when you are in the right mood. It happens when your frequency becomes the instruction, not the question. When your words become commands, not requests. When your energy says, "This is already mine," not, "I hope I'm worthy of this." Hope feels comfortable because it keeps you off the hook. But that comfort is a trap. It keeps your power dormant and your future delayed. Step out of hope. Step into command. Speak like a god. Not because you need the universe's approval, but because you remember the truth. It already responds to you. The universe does not switch off when you stop talking. It does not pause when you are distracted or disengaged. The field does not sleep, does not wait, does not forgive contradictions because you did not mean them. It listens always, and not to your polished intentions or the affirmations you post on your wall, but to your most frequent thoughts, your repeated stories, the energy you carry in silence when no one else is around. Every thought is a prayer. Every emotion is a command. Every belief is a mold for the reality that forms around you. People think they are only manifesting when they sit down to do it, when they light a candle, write in a journal, or speak their goals out loud. But manifestation is not a ritual. It is a constant broadcast. You are not turning it on when you manifest. You are tuning into it. You are always creating, even when you think you are just reacting. That spiral of self-doubt you go through when you wake up late. That feeling of unworthiness when someone ignores your message. That low-level fear humming beneath your to-do list. All of it is a signal. All of it becomes form. The field is not moral. It is mathematical. It does not prioritize your best moments. It averages your dominant frequency. That is why one clear, empowered moment is not enough if it is surrounded by hours of worry, guilt, and self-criticism. You might say, "I am abundant," once in the morning, but if you spend the rest of the day obsessing over bills, replaying scarcity, and fearing the future, what do you think the field is picking up on? This is where most people get it wrong. They treat reality like a mood ring, something that reflects how they feel in specific moments. But reality reflects patterns, not spikes. It responds to the rhythm of your mind, not the highlights of your hope. This means your real work is not about forcing better thoughts, but dissolving the ones that are constantly leaking energy. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. And to be consistent, you need to be aware. Start noticing the loops, the mental scripts you run when things do not go your way, the way you speak about your life when you are frustrated or tired. That is your prayer. That is the code you are writing into the field. And the field does not take notes. It takes orders. You think you are expressing how you feel, but energetically, you are authorizing more of the same. That complaint, that sarcasm, that low-key pessimism you call being realistic. Those are commands. They do not just describe reality, they reinforce it. But here is the part they do not teach. The moment you change the script, the broadcast changes. Not when it is perfect, not when you have healed every wound, but the moment you choose a new baseline, the field begins to reorganize. And it does not take years. It takes intention, awareness, and the discipline to stop arguing for your limitations. This is the power of presence, not as a spiritual escape, but as a tactical shift. When you become present, you interrupt the auto-programming. You stop the signal that has been running in the background and insert a new one, consciously, clearly, and with authority. The moment you catch yourself looping and you choose differently, you collapse an old timeline and initiate a new one. The more you do that, the stronger your signal becomes, and the stronger your signal, the faster the response. You are not just thinking, you are coding, not just feeling, you are emitting. The field does not care if you are aware of this or not. It is still responding. So, the question is not, is it working? It is, what am I really saying with my state? What is the dominant command I have been sending? What is the vibration I have allowed to become my normal? This is where mastery begins. When you realize that manifestation is not something you do, it is something you are always doing, that the universe is not ignoring you, it is just being obedient, that your life is not stuck, it is just accurately reflecting the blueprint you have repeated the most. And once you see that, you can stop waiting for signs and start becoming one. There comes a point in your journey where remembering is no longer enough, where knowing the truth is not power until it is spoken, lived, and embodied. You have seen how the field works. You have felt the moments where alignment hits, where the world shifts around a decision, where something you thought was far away moves in like it was waiting for your signal all along. And now, it is time to step into what most people spend their entire lives avoiding: ownership. Ownership of your role, not as a passive creation of reality, but as its creator. This is the shift that separates the ones who dabble from the ones who build empires, from the ones who heal, who create, who manifest, not once, not by luck, but by law. They do not beg the universe. They do not chase signs. They become the sign. Their energy is not asking. It is authorizing. It is not broadcasting doubt. It is writing reality with every word, every choice, every silent internal agreement. And here is the uncomfortable truth most will not admit. You are already doing this. You are already commanding the field. You are just doing it from a disempowered script. Every time you say, "I can't," it never works. That's just who I am. You are stamping a command into the energetic architecture of your life. The universe does not question you. It does not push back. It says, "As you wish," and then it moves to match it. Because the field is not interested in what you want, it is obedient to what you claim. And you have been claiming your limitations with more consistency than your desires. Speaking as the creator means reclaiming that voice, not for ego, not for show, but for truth. Because the creator does not need applause. It does not need reassurance. It knows what it builds becomes real. It speaks with calm certainty, not force. It decides and then aligns. And from that alignment, things move, not because of willpower, but because reality has no choice. You are not here to wait for your dream life to tap you on the shoulder. You are here to call it in like thunder. You are here to become the frequency that magnetizes timelines. And you do not do that by repeating affirmations you do not believe. You do it by becoming too aligned to contradict, too anchored to waver. That is what speaking as a creator means. Not louder, but clearer, not faster, but deeper. This does not mean perfection, it means honesty. It means catching the moments you shrink your language to avoid discomfort, the moments you soften your truth so others do not feel threatened by it. The moments you dim your command because somewhere deep down you are still afraid it might not work. Let that go. That fear is residue. It is noise from a former version of you that did not know what you now do. That the field listens more closely to the silent conviction in your bones than to the volume of your words. So speak like it is already done. Act like it is already here. Align like your life depends on it, because it does. The timeline you step into next will not be based on your effort. It will be based on your frequency, your language, your ability to hold the vibration of the Creator, not the creation. Because when you speak like a god, the universe does not hesitate. It responds. Not later, not eventually, but now. The field is waiting for instruction, not from your emotions, not from your doubt, but from your authority, from your precision, from the part of you that does not hope. It declares. So the next time you speak, ask yourself, am I talking like the architect or like the blueprint? And if it is not the former, pause, realign, and then speak again. You do not need more proof. You do not need another sign, another quote, another coincidence to finally believe what your soul has been whispering to you since the beginning. You are not here to repeat the script, you are here to write it. And not with passivity or politeness, but with precision, presence, and power. This is not about waiting for some perfect version of yourself to finally arrive. This is about stepping into that identity now, in this moment, before the results, before the evidence, because that is what changes everything. Too many people treat manifestation like it is a reaction, when in reality, it is a frequency of responsibility. When you speak it, you begin to breathe it. And when you breathe it, you begin to become it. Not because life gets easier, not because the world rearranges itself overnight, but because you stop contradicting yourself. You stop sabotaging your signal with old stories, and you start broadcasting from the version of you that already exists in the timeline you are trying to reach. This is what embodiment really means. It is not about pretending you have already won. It is about aligning your actions, thoughts, and state of being with the reality you have already claimed. You wake up and move like someone who already has it. You speak like it is already done. You spend your energy like your future is secured, not at risk. That is what creates the shift. The field does not need you to be fake. It needs you to be congruent. And congruence is not about perfection. It is about resonance. It is about walking in truth so deeply that anything not aligned with it cannot survive in your presence. Speak it, live it, be it. That is the formula. Speak your intentions with clarity, not contradiction. Live them in your daily actions through discipline, decisions, and devotion, and be them. Breathe them into your nervous system until they stop feeling like effort and start feeling like home. That is when manifestation stops being a concept and starts becoming inevitable. Not because of magic, but because you finally stop sending mixed signals. You do not need to hustle harder. You do not need to wait longer. You need to remove the static. Strip away the need to be convinced and start living like it is already yours. It is not just about speaking to the universe. It is about speaking as the universe. Real manifestation does not feel like desperation. It feels like remembering, like coming home to a power you never actually lost, just forgot how to use. Every word you say, every thought you hold, every reaction you give is either pulling you closer to your blueprint or pushing you further away. And the moment you get tired of the loop, tired of waiting, tired of negotiating with your own doubt, you will stop asking and start embodying. The field does not need more wishes. It needs more signals, precise ones, clean ones, unshakable ones. This is the final unlock. You are not here to chase your desires. You are here to collapse the space between who you have been and who you are becoming. And that collapse begins with one decision: to speak as the source, not the seeker. The blueprint is already within you. You are not building something new. You are returning to what was always coded in your essence. Strip away the fear. Strip away the delay. Speak, live, be. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."